Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off.
Do you ever feel like life is a never-ending series of lessons while you try to find purpose, meaning, and answers? I am Vanessa Fontana, the host of Figuring Shit Out, a podcast where we undertake self-help, coming of age, and healing. As I live my 20s in New York City figuring shit out myself, I've realized that if you spend your whole life trying to get your act together, you don't have a life. You have an act. On Figuring Shit Out, every Sunday, you get to normalize the journey of not knowing and be guided into living your life with more intention and ease.
Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Hey, what's up, my friends? I hope that you're doing well wherever you are in the world today. If you're watching on our YouTube right now, which you can check out if you just search Think Unbroken Podcast, or you can also search Michael Unbroken, it'd mean the world to me if you would come hang out with us over there for a little bit. Today, I want to talk to you guys about self-talk and how the words that we are using are often keeping us stuck. So if you can see, I'm holding my iPad in my hand. I had my coaching session with my coach today, and I wrote a note. And this note is really, really important, I think, not only in my life, but in what it is that I do personally. And so I don't often share kind of the results of my coaching sessions with you guys, but I wanted to today because I feel like it's very important because this is something that is not exclusive to me while it is my journey and my experience here. And that is this. I wrote a note and it says, "You become what you repeat." And what this means is in our lives, we're constantly victim or hero of our own self, of the words that we use with ourselves and how we think about ourselves in the world. Now, a huge part of Think Unbroken means be the hero of your own story. Well, as you know, me personally, becoming the hero of my own story is an iterative process. It's still happening today in real time, having this conversation with you. But it's also been a huge part of my life for the last almost now decade plus. And so much of it, I came to realize, has begun in this place of understanding that the way we speak to ourselves is everything. And when I was in my teens, really honestly, probably earlier, probably when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and then leading into my teens and in my 20s, I was so incredibly mean to myself. And, it's even when I sat down to think about having this conversation with you, I felt this weird, it's hard to explain the sense, but almost I want to call it anxiety about talking about some of these things because a lot of what I'm about to say is not language that I use in my life presently. And nor do I believe that will ever be language that I will use again. But to create context, I want to be able to step into the discomfort of this language because I know and I believe that it's going to help. When I look and I trace back kind of these experiences that I've had working through traumatic experiences, working through healing. Most importantly, I think, really, probably honestly, more so than anything, working through the self talk aspects of this journey. The one thing that I've come to realize is like the words that I used to use are the very words that were keeping me stuck. Because look, you become what you repeat. And so much of my language, and I'll kind of give you a timeline here because I do think it may be beneficial. When I was a child, 8, 9, 10 years old, my parents, my stepfather, my mother, they used words to me in ways that were, see, again, I apologize. This feels very like stuttered. It's hard for me to step back into that world because I've really, really worked so hard to train my brain out of it. But I'm going to go into it. So bear with me as I kind of like fumble myself through this. They use words like stupid, dumb, loser, you're not good enough, piece of shit. Um, my stepdad called me fat boy all the time. My mother at a couple different points used language so derogatory. I'm not even going to say it because it doesn't matter. And then there was this weird like reinforcement in a lot of ways from the community and my peers and the kids that I was around, right? Growing up being the chubby kid, being the kid who often smelled like pee, being the kid who had learning disabilities and health issues, many of which I'm still working through today, it just starts to plant seeds, right? You effectively become brainwashed because of the words that other people have been using. That's what we could call the echo, right? We hear the words that other people use just echoing and bouncing back in our head again and again and again. And that leads us to this place in which we're looking at our life and going, well, that must be true because look at me. So in my early childhood, those were a lot of the words that I was hearing that I then started to repeat to myself. And I've mentioned this on the show before. At 14 years old, I took a whole bottle of aspirin. I was done. I was in this place of just some massive darkness, right? I was listening to some really dark music, reading really dark books, watching really dark television. And to me, it felt like the outlet because it seemed like those elements of entertainment were the only way that I could feel like someone else understood me. And I have a running joke with anyone who knows me really well. It's like if you catch me listening to music from like 1998 to 2001, you need to ask me if I'm okay, right? And so it's funny to look back on those experiences that kind of led up to me downing this bottle of aspirin because it was so much in my head where I'm like, if I'm just dead, it's easier. If I go away, it's easier. If I don't have to be the burden to myself anymore, feeling trapped. Like this is effectively, I think about this all the time. I felt so trapped by the environment that I was in that I wanted to remove myself from it by any means necessary. And unfortunately, that meant downing a bottle of aspirin. And at that point in my life as a teenager, I was okay with being dead. I wanted it, and that's a really like, this is what's so difficult about this conversation is that people don't really understand that unless you've been there, right? People often say, reach out, ask for help, so on and so forth. And obviously, yes, please, for the love of God, please fucking do that because I'm telling you, you're like one reach out away from everything in your life being different. You're one I need help away from everything being fucking different. And so I fully, fully implore you to do that. But again, I'm going to say this just speaking with truth. Like I wanted to kill myself because I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with the torture of being a child to a mother who was a drug addict and alcoholic, who was mentally, emotionally, physically abusive. I didn't want to deal with being the kid who had a learning disability, who I would sit in the back of classrooms and I would read magazines or I'd look at pictures because I didn't know what they were talking about. Like it would not process for me. I had massive, massive attention issues as a kid. I didn't want to be the kid who was biracial, right? I think this is a conversation. I'm going to have this conversation more in the months and years to come on this show, but there's something about being biracial. Unless you're biracial, you don't get it. I'm sorry, you just don't. And not to fit in with the black kids and not to fit in with the white kids and to be kind of in the middle, square peg round hole kind of situation. I was so alone and ostracized. And the words I was repeating was, I'm not worth living, so I'm not going to live anymore. And that's what my teens look like. And after that experience and into the latter years of high school and into my late teens, early 20s, a lot of it was you're a fucking loser, you're a piece of shit, nobody's going to love you, nobody cares about you. And then what happened was this weird switch flipped and I became hyper independent, like way so more than I was as a kid. As a kid, I had to do a lot to survive. So many of us have to do so much to survive as children. Like it fucking breaks my heart when I think about it. And because of that, I put myself in this situation where it was like, no matter what, I'm not letting anybody in. No entry. There's no tickets to the Michael show. Like it's going to be, there's no level of connection or intimacy or kindness because I had decided, and again, these are the words that I'm using because what you repeat, like that's what you become. You become what you repeat. And I was just repeating this shit, right? Now, this is the shout. I'm yelling into my own head about all of this shit where it's like, you know what? You're a fucking loser. Go and find other people to make you feel happy. And if you can't do that, just drink yourself to sleep because it doesn't matter anyway. And so that was so much of what was happening in my late teens and early 20s. And then a small switch flipped as well, where it wasn't just about the hypervigilance, but it was also about, can I go and be successful in business? And that became the driver. I'm going to go get successful, make money. And the only thing I was thinking was make $100,000, make $100,000, make $100,000. I had no clarity about any other aspect or element of my life other than the money. And as many of you know, what effectively happened is at 26 years old, I hit rock bottom, 350 pounds, smoking 2 packs a day, drinking myself to sleep. And it was in that where the shift that has led me now over a decade later to this conversation with you came into play. And that's because I asked myself a question. I said, what are you willing to do to have the life that you want to have? And that question came in. I was like, what are you willing to do, man? Like, what the fuck are you willing to do? How are you willing to show up? Who are you willing to be? What are you willing to suffer through to have a different outcome? And this is where the change started to happen. Now, I've talked about the 4 years after that, like 25 and a half, 26 years old to 29 and a half, 30 years old was nothing but suffering and massive fucking misery all of the time. Like it was just painful every single day because I was trying to reframe these truths that I thought were real and into and moving into who it is that I am today. And so as I'm looking at my life, so much of it has been really about reinforcing not even positivity necessarily. And I would say that I'm not an optimist, and anyone who knows me knows that to be true. I'm just simply a realist. And I look at the world and I say, if someone else has done this, I can do it too. And that has led me to really getting serious about like grabbing this pen, journaling, having a coach, reading the books, going through the courses and seminars. I mean, I have more trauma informed certifications than I can count, countless hours of education, and just really trying to better understand human psychology, the brain, neuroscience. So much of the Think Unbroken podcast is speaking with these incredible human beings with these amazing stories who I learn from every single day that allow me to not only be a better coach, but allow you to learn the same things I'm learning. Hey, Unbroken Nation, we'll be right back to the show, but I wanted to let you know that you can grab a copy of my first book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free. If you go to book.thinkunbroken.com, you can download the PDF ebook version of the book and get everything that I know about the baseline of healing trauma for free, downloaded to your email right now. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to download your copy of Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma for a PDF for your phone. Again, that is book.thinkunbroken.com. And so now mindset and thinking about these words, what I always come down to is this, and we've talked about this. Kindness is everything, right? Mindset is everything. The way you talk to yourself is everything. Like you're saying things to your right, like, and I know I say this and it might come out in this kind of, maybe it's a crass thing, or maybe people think I'm joking, but I'm dead serious about this. People right now are saying things to themselves that if you said to me, I would punch you in the fucking face. And like you're thinking that you're going to be successful by doing that. And I know that's like this jarring thing to hear and you go, oh my God, but focus on this for a second. If you are being mean to yourself, if you're being an asshole to yourself, how do you expect to fucking succeed in life? Like, how do you think that's going to happen? Because it's not. Because you've already predetermined through the words that you're using with yourself and understanding that you become what you repeat. Now you are both the shout and the echo in your own mind about the things that are happening in your life, and you get to this place of stuckness. So where do you begin? Like, where do you really create change? So let's say we have the framework, and I went into depth on it because I want you to understand, like, my biggest fear is that people see who I am today, what we're building with Think Unbroken, and the mission that we have to end generational trauma, and they go, oh, that guy figured out something that I don't know. Yes, and slash, but what you have to understand is I had to figure this shit out the hard way. And my hope is, if you're paying attention, my fear is that you're going to listen to this and not do anything with it. And that sucks. And I know that there are people who are going to do nothing with it. And I know that there are people who are going to change their life forever. And I really, really, really want you to be one of those people who it's going to change your life forever. But I cannot do that for you. Nobody else can either. This is a fucking you thing. You are both the cause and the solution to all of your problems. And so how do you do that? Mindset. We talked about this. What you think becomes what you speak. What you speak become your actions become your reality. And if you change the way that you're talking to yourself on a long enough timeline, now you will become what you repeat. And people are terrified of this idea. And I've been on this a lot recently in these solo episodes and these solo conversations. I've been on this a lot, this idea about not only self-sabotage, but this idea that you can't be you until you change who you are to be the you that you want to be. And that's hard. That's difficult, but it starts with the words that you're using. And it really simply becomes in the moment, in this small, granular experience of time, can you be present to make a decision that moves you in a different direction? And I'm not saying necessarily you have to blow up your whole fucking life. I mean, sometimes you do, but I hope that you don't hear and recognize that like imposter syndrome's not real. I just did an episode on it. Lisa Billy was on the show. If you've not listened to that, like her and I get into this really fiery conversation about imposter syndrome, right? And so much of what I believe is that you have to be willing to just simply change the narrative, because narrative is what we galvanize ourselves against. Like we think, like we create and we paint this picture, we write this book or this story about who it is that we are, and we believe that to be true until we recognize the truth in that we can change the person that we are, and we do not have to believe anything other than what we choose to believe, not what has foundationally been laid out in front of us as causality to be where we are today. And so, what you really have to get into and understand is when you start to change the way that you speak to yourself, i.e., I mean, look, realistically, and I'm not bullshitting with you, the idea of the beginning of this show was super anxiety ridden for me, because when I wrote out the talking points and what I wanted to get into today, it was like, fuck, man, like I do not like using that language. I do not like putting myself in first person and having conversations that are negative, because like I don't want to reinforce that and that causes anxiety. But I recognize like there's so many of us that have it. And then now you're probably like, well, why did you go in to have this conversation and coaching today and get this thing where you're having this moment of writing down this note of you become what you repeat? Because right now the biggest thing that I'm thinking about is just a complete and total reframe of my life. And that looks like, and this is what I teach my clients all the time, is as you go through this healing journey, you're effectively going to reach new milestones and new plateaus, but the plateaus aren't capped, right? They're just, you stand on them and you look at the next one, right? I look at it like every single time you climb the mountain, there's another mountain. And so right now in front of me is another mountain. And for me to go where I want to go, I have to be able to now not only adapt into this new version of me, but change my thought process and mindset around the person that I want to be so that I can become that. And I can only become that by repeating to myself what I can become, what I am capable of having, what I want to build in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in relationships and community, with Think Unbroken, right? And so much of that comes down to what I repeat. And I realized like there was this very small, like, this is why I explained to you guys journaling is so fucking important, because there is this very microscopic, small, you probably wouldn't even notice it unless you were paying attention, word that I was using in my life that was keeping me trapped, where I was saying this to myself. And it was just like, oh, that's what it was. That one shift is what I need. And so in real time, I'm processing this still, so I'm not going to go into it with you guys today. In time, maybe tomorrow I might wake up and have it figured out. Might be a month, I don't know. But as it gets more processed and more nuanced, I'm going to have a better foundational understanding of what this one word is that has kept me stuck, that I've now shifted and am shifting to become the person that I'm capable of being at a different level, because I want to become what I repeat, and I want to be successful. I want to end generational trauma in my lifetime. I want to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually healthy, right? So that's the thing. That will not be possible without the shift in my mindset. I cannot, and you cannot, get out of this place of stuckness if you are still telling yourself you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not capable enough. Now, it's not as simple as word of affirmations. Like, I don't believe that words of affirmations are enough. Go look at any of the psychologists who I've sat and interviewed. Go, and I can go look at my own personal journey. Action ultimately is the cure all, but we need the words to become the fuel for the vehicle to move us forward. And if you are stuck, it's because you're using the wrong fuel, i.e., I'm not good enough. I'm a loser. I'm a piece of shit. Nobody like, ugh. I even hate saying it. I literally just, it's a gross sensation to say that, but I need to create context for you guys to help you understand that those are the words that are keeping you stuck. So what I want you to think about and what I want you to do as you move forward is, can you leverage kindness, grace, empathy, sympathy, hope, joy, love with yourself? It's not that you have to be this like deity amongst yourself. It's just simply, can you look at it and acknowledge that you don't have to be all the things that you've been leading up to this moment, that you can be different. You can change, you can grow, you can heal, you can let go of the past, you can get unstuck. But the only way that you're going to do it, it starts with the fucking words that you're using. It starts with what is reverberating in your brain, that shout and that echo. And then it proceeds to be this thing where if you just pause and you take a pen and you write in this journal and you framework your narrative of what it is that you want to be and who you want to be, you can move towards that. And my hope is that you will do that and just understand that your self-talk is fucking everything. If I rewind my life and I look at the most pivotal change, literally the most pivotal, it wasn't the diet, it wasn't exercise, it wasn't going to the doctor, it wasn't losing weight, it wasn't the workshops I did or the coaching, or none of that shit. It was simply starting with one thing, changing the words that I was using with myself. And I wrote about that in the first book, Think Unbroken. If you haven't read it, you can download the first 3 chapters if you go to book.thinkunbroken.com. And I highly encourage you to get involved and read that book if you want your life to be different. And I'll tell you right now, for the people who are getting into that book, who are taking the courses, I'm about to launch a brand new community platform. We tried the Discord thing, didn't go that well. I realized it's not really built yet to be what I need it to be. And so we're working on changing up the community element of Think Unbroken. It's going to involve weekly coaching. It's going to involve a lot of different things. But the point being is, grab this book, grab Think Unbroken, go to book.thinkunbroken.com. It's on Amazon. It's everywhere. Grab 8 Steps to Healing Your Inner Child. That book's everywhere. And really what I want you to do is, even if you don't, and people will always message me, they'll be like, I can't afford it. Okay, cool. You know what? I've literally put every single one of those chapters that I recorded on this podcast. And so I want, like I've said this before, my goal is not fucking money, right? My goal is to change the world. And the only way that I can do that is we have to do this as a community. So if you're feeling stuck, lost, like you're self-sabotaging, like you can't figure things out, go and start this podcast at episode 1. I know we're almost at episode 400, but I promise you, listen to this. Actually, I think in real time, I'm going to Google this because I don't know. I mean, this is how crazy it gets sometimes, where I have to go in here and look at literally the podcast to see how many episodes that we have done. All right. We've done, as of today, 380 episodes. If you listen to one of these episodes a day for the next year, 365 days, I'm not even saying like, and honestly, like the first handful, they're not that great because I was figuring it out 4 years ago. Right. But if you listen to 365 episodes of this show and you follow the guidance from not only myself, but these experts who have been on this show, you follow through on what we talk about, you leverage it and you bring it into your life, I fucking promise you, I swear to you, in a year, your life will be different. If you listen to 365 days of Think Unbroken, you will be unbroken. You don't have to pay money. You don't have to join a program. You don't have to join a group. You don't have to do anything other than listen to this show, because that is how you're going to start to create a safe space to change your mind. So many of these people have had that same experience. All right, guys, I'm going to end up rambling. I probably already am. It's just I get fired up about this, and it's like, fuck, if I had the tools that I'm giving you right now, like my life would be so much different when I was 19 years old. And my hope is that you'll take this, that you'll give yourself the space to be great, because you fucking deserve to be. So with that, my friends, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. Leave a review on iTunes or Spotify. Check out our YouTube if you just search Think Unbroken or Michael Unbroken on YouTube. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. I'll see ya. Thank you so much for listening to Think Unbroken. Please share this episode with someone who could use it and help us move forward in our mission of ending generational trauma in our lifetime. And if you would, please take 5 seconds to pop on iTunes or Spotify, hit that 5-star, leave a review, and you can also reach out to us on social at Michael Unbroken or at Think Unbroken. And of course, you can check out our YouTube channel at Think Unbroken. Thank you for being a part of Unbroken Nation, my friends, and until next time, be unbroken. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show, but I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.